So let's skip ahead a little bit of the scenes we're seeing to get a head start. Once Yuri packs up, I'll walk right out the front door.
Thank you very much for having me today.
No problem. I'm glad I was able to help. Just let me know if there's anything else you need me to bring tomorrow.
I will. Well, then.
Yuri fidgets.
I guess I'll see you tomorrow.
Wait! I kind of say that without thinking. About today. It's fine that we didn't have as much time as we wanted. Because we can do this again. Whenever you want, you can come over and we can go out somewhere. I forgot, you don't like going out much. As I stumble with my words, Yuri simply smiles bashfully. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say, so...
You're very thoughtful, you.
Yuri takes a step closer to me, then briefly squeezes my hand.
I kind of like that about you.
Well, how am I supposed to respond to that? Why don't you get a chance as Yuri suddenly pulls back?
Sayori!
Eh?
Sorry, I couldn't find the unmute button.
That's fine.
Hi, you.
Sayori! Just now we weren't...
It's okay, you. I just stopped by to say hi.
Well, it's nice to see you. I'm sorry, but I'm already on my way to leave.
Oh, really? That's too bad.
I'm sorry. But we'll all be together at the festival tomorrow, so... So that's fine, right?
Of course.
Sayori beams.
Yeah, so... I'll see you tomorrow.
Clearly embarrassed, Yuri hurries off. Sayori waves goodbye after her. Sayori, I thought you didn't want to come over today.
Well... I tried staying in my room. But my imagination was being really mean to me. So I had to come here and see it for myself.
See what? What are you talking about?
You know, how much fun you were having with Yuri. And how close you got to her. It makes me really happy that you've made such good friends. That's all that matters to me.
Tears start to fall down Sayori's face.
That's all that matters to me. Why am I feeling this way, you? I'm supposed to be happy for you. Why does it feel like my heart is splitting in half? It hurts so much. Everything hurts so much. This would be so much better if I could just disappear.
Sayori, don't say that.
It's true, you. If I wasn't here, then you wouldn't have to waste your sympathy on me. You wouldn't have to put up with me being selfish. Monika was right. I should just...
Monika? Monika was right about what? Sayori, what I said before is true. I'm not going to let this continue. Caring about you like this isn't a burden your mind is making it out to be. It's something that makes me happy. It's something that I wouldn't trade for anything else. So, even if it takes an entire lifetime, I'm going to be by your side until you don't feel any more pain.
But
So Yuri looks away. I put a hand on her shoulder to reassure her.
I'm scared, you. I'm really scared.
What are you scared of, Sayori?
I'm scared that I might like you more than you like me.
So, Yuri?
It's true, isn't it? I was weak and started to like you too much. I did this to myself. You... I like you so much that I want to die. That's how I feel. And...
That's enough, Sayori. I don't want you to hurt anyone anymore. I slide my hand down Sayori's arm and squeeze her hand in my own. Do you remember how I said I always know what's best for you? Do you still believe me? Wordlessly, Sayori nods. You don't understand all of your own feelings. I know what you need the most right now. And that's what I'm going to give to you. Sayori, I love you.
Eh?
Those are my true feelings. So, just know you could like me more than I like you. I should have realized it sooner. But spending time with everyone at the club, making new friends, and having fun with you every day, it helped me realize that you're truly the most important person to me. That's why I'll accept any of your burdens, as long as we continue like this every day. With you by my side, then I know we'll both be happy.
You.
Suddenly, Sayori wraps her arms tightly around me.
You. Is this really okay?
Yeah. I hold Sayori in my arms and pull her closer. You never have to let go of me again.
I love you. You. I want to be with you forever.
Me too. I feel Sayori's grip around me weaken a little bit.
What is this?
Sayori?
I'm supposed to be happy right now. I always thought this would be the happiest moment for me. But why? Even now, I want the rain clouds to go away. They're not going away at all, you.
It's okay, Sayori. It might take some time for things to get better again. But no matter how long it takes, I'll be there every step of the way. That's all that matters right now.
Okay. I trust you.
Sayori and I slowly release each other. So, I guess that makes the festival tomorrow our first date, huh?
What are you saying? I don't want to think about those things, you know? I want everything to be the same as it always has been. Even if we really are a couple. I don't know if I could handle anything more right now. It's really new and scary to me.
I understand. We'll go out wherever pace suits you best.
Hey, you?
Sayori gazes at me once again, smiling sadly.
Even if I get really, really sad, this is the best thing for me, right?
Huh? I don't really understand what Sayori means by that. Are you saying that this is making you feel sad, Sayori?
I don't know. I don't understand what I'm feeling. It felt like a bunch of thorns when you told me you loved me. But that's why I want to trust you. You know what's best for me.
Yeah, I do. That's my promise. I say that, but in reality, I never felt more uncertain when it comes to Sayori. I know that I love her, and she loves me, but I'm having as much trouble understanding Sayori's feelings as she is. Even though I can comfort her, I keep wondering if I should be doing something more or something different. I know these thoughts will continue to plague me until things are back to the way they were. Is that what Sayori meant by not wanting anything to change? I don't know. But I know that I'll give it everything I got. Sayori is the most important person to me. And I'll do whatever it takes to have a happy future with her. It's the day of the festival. Of all the days, I expect this to be the one where I'll be walking to school with Sayori. But Sayori isn't answering her phone. I considered going to her house to wake her up, but decided that's a little too much. Meanwhile, the preparations for the event should be nearly complete. The banner Yuri and I painted is dry. I jammed the road up to take with me. She sent me a pleasant text reminding me not to forget anything, and I reassured her. Funnily enough, I probably feel the same way as Natsuki about the event. I'm more excited for it to be over so I can spend more time with Sayori and Yuri at the festival. But knowing Monika, I'm sure the event will be great too.
You're the first one here. Thanks for being early.
That's funny. I thought at least Yuri would be here by now. Monika is placing little booklets on each desk in the classroom. It must be the one she prepared to have all the poems we're performing. In the end, I found a random poem online that I thought Monika would like and submitted it. So that's the one I'll be performing.
I'm surprised you didn't bring Sayori with you.
Yeah, she overslept again. That dummy. You'd think that on days is important, she would try a little harder. I say that, but I suddenly remember what Sayori told me yesterday. I suddenly feel awful, knowing it's not nearly that simple for her. I only said it because of the way I'm used to thinking. But maybe I should have gone to wake her up after all.
You should take a little responsibility for her, you. I mean, especially after your exchange with her yesterday. You kind of left her hanging this morning, you know?
Exchange? Monika, you know about that?
Of course I do. I'm the club president, after all.
But, I stammer, embarrassed. Did Sayori really tell her about it that quickly? We're a couple now? I didn't really plan on bringing it up with anyone yet. Jeez. You don't know the full story at all, so...
Don't worry. I probably know a lot more than you think.
Eh? Monika's being as friendly as usual, but for some reason, I felt a chill down my spine after hearing that.
Hey, do you want to check out the pamphlets? They came out really nice.
Yeah, sure. I grabbed one of the pamphlets laid out on the desk. Oh yeah, they really did. Something like this would definitely help people take the club more seriously.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I flipped through the pages. Each member's poem is neatly printed on its own page, giving an almost professional feel. I recognized Natsuki's and Yuri's poems from the ones they performed during our practice. What's this? I flipped to Sayori's poem. It is different from the one she practiced. It's one that I haven't read before. Get out of my head, 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 get out of my head. Get out of my head before I do what I know is best for you. Get out of my head before I listen to everything she said to me. Get out of my head before I show you how much I love you. Get out of my head before I finish writing this poem. The poem is never actually finished, it just stops moving. What is this? Reading the poem, I got a pit in my stomach.
You? What's wrong?
Nothing. This poem feels completely different from everything else that yours written. More than that, I changed my mind. I'm gonna get Sayori, so...
Ah. Well, all right. Try not to take too long, okay?
I quickly leave the classroom.
Don't strain yourself.
Monika calls it out after me. I quicken my pace. What was I thinking? I should have tried a little bit harder for Sayori. It's not a big deal to at least wait for her or help her wake up. Even a simple gesture of walking to school makes her really happy. Besides, I told her yesterday that things would be the same as they always been. That's all she needs, what I want to give her. I reach Sayori's house and knock on the door. I don't expect an answer since she's not picking up her phone either. Like yesterday, I opened the door and let myself in. Sayori? She really is a heavy sleeper. I swallow. I can't believe I ended up doing this after all. Waking her up in her own house. That really is something a boyfriend would do, isn't it? In any case, it just feels right. Outside Sayori's room, I knock on her door. Sayori? Wake up, dummy. There's no response. I really didn't want to have to enter a room like this. Is it kind of a breach of privacy? But she really leaves me no choice. I gently opened the door. Say. What the hell? What the hell? Is this a nightmare? It has to be. This isn't real. There's no way this can be real. Sayori wouldn't do this. Everything was normal up to a few days ago. So I can't believe what my eyes are showing me. I suppressed the urge to vomit. Just yesterday, I told Sayori to be there for her. I told her to know what's best and that everything would be okay. Then why? Why would she do this? How could I be so helpless? What did I do wrong? Confessing to her? I shouldn't have confessed to her. That's not what Sayori needed at all. She even told me how painful it is for others to care about her. Then why did I confess to her and make her feel so worse? Why was I so selfish? This is my fault. My swarming thoughts keep telling me everything I could have done to prevent this. If I just spent more time with her, walked her to school, and remained friends with her like it's always been, then it could have prevented this. I know I could have prevented this. Screw the literature club. Screw the festival. I just lost my best friend. Someone I grew up with. She's gone forever now. Nothing I can do can bring her back. There's some game we can reset and try something different. I had only one chance, and I wasn't careful enough. And now I'll carry this guilt with me until I die. Nothing in my life is worth more than hers. But I still couldn't do what she needed from me. And now I can never take it back. Never. 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 I see an annoying girl running towards me from a distance, waving her arms in the air like she's totally oblivious to any attention she might draw to herself. That girl is my neighbor and good friend since we were children. You know, the kind of friend you never see yourself making today, but it just kind of works out because you know each other for so long. We used to walk to school together on days like this, but starting around high school, she would oversleep more and more frequently. I get tired of waiting up. She's going to chase after me like this. I must feel better off running away. However, just sigh and idle in front of the crosswalk and let catch up to me. It's an ordinary school day like any other. Mornings are usually the worst, being surrounded by couples and friends groups walking to school together. Meanwhile, I always walk to school alone. I always tell myself it's about time I meet some girls or something like that. I have no motivation to join any clubs. I'm perfectly content just getting on by on the average while spending my free time on games and anime. There's always the anime club, but it's like there would be any girls in it anyway. The school day is as ordinary as ever, and it's over before I know it. After I pack up my things, I stare blankly at the wall, looking for an ounce of motivation. Clubs. There really aren't any that interest me. Besides, most of them probably be way too demanding for me to want to deal with. I guess I have no choice but to start with the anime club. Someone.
You?
Monika?
Oh my goodness, I totally didn't expect to see you here. It's been a while, right?
Yeah, it has. Monika smiles sweetly. We do know each other. Well, we rarely talked, but we were in the same class last year. Monika was probably the most popular girl in class. Smart, beautiful, athletic. Basically, completely out of my league. So, having her smile at me so generally feels a little... What you coming here for, anyway?
Oh, I've just been looking for some supplies to use for my club. You know if there's any construction paper in here? Or markers?
I guess I could check the closet. You're in the debate club, right?
About that. I actually quit the debate club.
Really? You quit?
Yeah. Be honest, I can't stand all the politics around the major clubs. It feels like nothing but arguing about the budget and publicity and how to prepare for events. I'd much rather take something I personally enjoy and make something special out of it.
In that case, what club did you decide to join?
Actually, I'm starting a new one. A literature club.
Literature? It sounds kind of dull. How many members do you have so far?
It's kind of embarrassing that there are only 3 of us so far. It's really hard to find new members for something that sounds so boring.
Well, I can see that.
But it's really not boring at all, you know. Literature can be anything. Reading, writing, poetry. I mean, one of my members even keeps her manga collection in the club room.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's funny, right? She always insists that manga is literature too. I mean, she's not wrong, I guess. And besides, a member's a member, right?
Did Monika say she?
Hey, you. By any chance, are you still looking for a club to join?
I mean, I guess so, but...
In that case, is there any chance you could do me a big favor? I won't ask you to join, but if you could at the very least visit my club, it would make me really happy. Please?
Well, I guess I have no reason to refuse. Besides, could I ever refuse someone like Monika? Sure, I guess I could check it out.
Ah, awesome. You're really sweet, you. You know that?
It's nothing, really.
Shall we go then? I'll look for the materials another time. You're more important.
And thus, today marks the day I sold my soul to Monika in her irresistible smile. I dejectedly followed Monika across the school and upstairs, a section of school I rarely visit. Monika, full of energy, swings open the classroom door.
I'm back. And I brought a guest with me.
Eh? A guest?
Seriously? You brought a boy? Way to kill the atmosphere.
Don't be mean, Natsuki. But anyway, welcome to the club, you.
All words escape me in this situation. This club. It's full of incredibly cute girls.
So let me guess. Oh wait, that's the other one. Never mind. Confusing.
Natsuki?
You're Monika's boyfriend, right?
What? No, I'm not.
Natsuki?
The girl with a sour attitude, whose name is apparently Natsuki, is one I don't recognize. The small figure made her look like a first-year student.
Anyway, this is Natsuki, energetic as usual. And this is Yuri, the vice president.
It's nice to meet you.
Yuri, who appears comparably more mature and timid, sees a hard time keeping up with someone like Natsuki. Yeah, it's nice to meet both of you.
So, I ran into you in a classroom, and you decided to come check out the club. Isn't that great?
Wait, Monika! Didn't I tell you to let me know in advance before you brought anyone new? I was going to, well, you know.
Sorry. I didn't forget that, but I just happened to run into him.
In that case, I should at least make some tea, right?
Yeah, that would be great. Why don't you come sit down, you?
The girls have a field desk arranged to form a table. Yuri walks to the corner of the room and opens the closet. Meanwhile, Monika and Natsuki sit across from each other. Still feeling awkward, I take a seat next to Monika.
So, I know you didn't really plan on coming here. But we'll make sure you feel right at home, okay? As president of the Literature Club, it's my duty to make the club fun and exciting for everyone.
I'm surprised there aren't more people in the club yet. It must be hard to start a new club.
You could put it that way. Not many people are very interested in putting out all the effort to start something brand new. Especially when it's something that doesn't grab your attention, like literature. You have to work hard to convince people that you're both fun and worthwhile. What makes school events like the festival that much more important? I'm confident that we can all really grow this club before we graduate. Right, Natsuki?
Well, I guess.
Natsuki reluctantly agrees. Such different girls, all interested in the same goal. Monika must have worked really hard just to find these two. Yuri returns to the table, carrying a tea set. She carefully places a teacup in front of each of us before setting down a teapot in the middle. You keep a whole tea set in this classroom?
Don't worry, the teachers gave us permission. After all, doesn't a hot cup of tea help you enjoy a good book?
I guess.
Don't let yourself get intimidated. Yuri's just trying to impress you.
That's not.
Insulted, Yuri looks away. I mean,
I meant that. No.
I believe you. Well, tea and reading might not be a pastime for me, but I at least enjoy tea.
I'm glad.
Yuri faintly smiles to herself in relief.
So, you, what kinds of things do you like to read?
Well, considering how little I've read these past years, I don't really have a good way of answering that. Manga. I mutter quietly to myself, half joking. Natsuki head suddenly perks up. Looks she wants to say something, but she keeps quiet.
Not much of a reader, I guess.
Well, that can change. What am I saying? I spoke without thinking after seeing Yuri's sad smile. Anyway, what about you, Yuri?
Well, let's see.
Yuri traces the rim of her teacup with her finger.
My favorites are usually novels that build deep and complex fantasy worlds. The level of creativity and craftsmanship behind them is amazing to me. And telling a good story in such a foreign world is equally impressive.
Yuri goes on, clearly passionate about her reading. She seems so reserved and timid since the moment I walked in, but it's obvious by the way her eyes light up that she finds a comfort in the worlds of books, not people.
But, you know, I like a lot of things. Stories with deep psychological elements usually immerse me as well. Isn't it amazing how a writer can so deliberately take advantage of your own lack of imagination to completely throw you for a loop? Anyway, I've been reading a lot of horror lately.
I read a horror book once. I desperately grasped something I can't relate to her at the minimum level. At this rate, you might as well be having a conversation with a rock.
I'd expect that from you, Yuri. It suits your personality.
Oh, is that so? Really, if a story makes me think or takes me to another world, then I really can't put it down. Surreal horror is often very successful at changing the way you look at the world, if only for a brief moment.
Oh, I hate horror.
Oh, why is that?
Wow, it just...
Natsuki's eyes dart over to me for a split second.
Never mind.
That's right. You usually like to write about cute things, don't you, Natsuki?
What? What gives you the idea?
You left a piece of scrap paper behind last club meeting. It looked like you were working on a poem called...
Don't say it out loud! And give that back.
Fine, fine.
Natsuki, you write your own poems?
Well, I guess sometimes? Why do you care?
I think that's impressive. Why don't you share them sometime?
No!
Natsuki averts her eyes.
You wouldn't like them.
Not a very confident writer yet?
I understand how Natsuki feels. Sharing that level of writing takes more than just confidence. The truest form of writing is writing to oneself. You must be willing to open up to your readers, exposing your vulnerabilities and showing even the deepest reaches of your heart.
Do you have writing experience too, Yuri? Maybe if you share some of your work, you can set an example and help Natsuki feel comfortable enough to share hers.
I guess the same for Yuri. We all sit in silence for a moment.
Hey, I just got an idea. How about this?
Natsuki and Yuri looks quizzically at Monika.
Let's all go home and write a poem of our own. Then, next time we meet, we'll all share them with each other. That way, everyone is even. I mean, I thought it was a good idea.
Well, I think you're right, Monika. We should probably start finding activities for all of us to participate in together. I did decide to take on the responsibility of vice president after all. I need to do my best to nurture the club as well as its members. Besides, now that we have a new member, it seems like a good step for us to take. Do you agree as well, you?
Hold on, there's still one problem.
Eh? What's that?
I've never reached the most important topic. I'll bluntly come forth with what's been on my mind the entire time. I never said I would join this club. Monika may have convinced me to stop by, but I never made any decision. I still have other clubs to look at, and I lose my train of thought. All three girls stare back at me with dejected eyes.
But...
I'm sorry, I thought...
Eh? The girls exchange glances before Monika turns back to me.
I guess I need to tell you the truth, you. The thing is, we don't have enough members yet to form an official club. We need 4. And I've been trying really, really hard to find new members. And if we don't find one more before the festival...
I'm defenseless against these girls. How am I supposed to make a clear-headed decision when it's like this? I feel terrible for letting everyone down in this situation. Besides, the club stuff seems pretty relaxed. So if writing poems is the price I need to pay in order to spend every day with 3 beautiful girls... Right. Okay. I decided then. I'll join the literature club. One by one, the girls' eyes light up.
Oh my goodness, really? Do you really mean that, you?
Yeah. Could be fun, right?
You really did scare me for a moment.
I mean, if you really just left after all this, I would be super pissed.
You, I'm so happy. We can become an official club now. Thank you so much for this. You're really amazing. I'll do everything I can to give you a great time, okay?
Ah, thanks, I guess.
Okay, everyone. I think with that, we can officially end today's meeting on a good note. Everyone remember tonight's assignment. Write a poem to bring to the next meeting so we can all share.
Monika looks over at me once more.
You, I look forward to seeing how you express yourself.
Yeah. Can I really impress the class star and Monika with my mediocre writing skills? I want to feel the anxiety welling up inside me. Meanwhile, the girls continue chit-chat as Yuri cleans up the tea set. Guess be on my way then.
Okay. I'll see you tomorrow then. I can't wait.
With that, I depart the club room and make my way home. The whole way, my mind wanders back and forth between the 3 girls. Natsuki, Yuri, and of course, Monika. Will I really be happy spending every day after school in a literature club? Perhaps I'll have the chance to grow closer to one of these girls. Alright, I just need to make the most of my circumstances, and I'm sure good fortune will come and find me. I guess I start writing a poem tonight. Today I cut my skin open for the first time. It was exhilarating. I think I understand how it feels now. I'm supposed to be a responsible one, though, so I don't think I'll be doing it again. Unless I decide to kill myself. I left a memento of the occasion below. Since I'm mediocre right, I think I need some help. Hey Natalie, want to write this poem?
Sure. All right. Let's pick misfortune and contamination, tragedy, judgment. Breathe. Alone. So, pain. What? Agonizing. Let's do raindrops. You were just on it.
Wow.
Existence. Shame. Secretive. Let's do disaster. Let's do tenacious. Graveyard.
First thought, best thought.
Let's do eternity. Let's do sensation. Uncontrollable. Let's do dark. And how about death?
Interesting choices.
Hi again, you. Glad to see you didn't run away on us.
Nah, don't worry. This could be a little bit strange for me, but I at least keep my word. Well, I'm back at the literature club. I was the last to come in, so everyone else is already hanging out.
Thanks for keeping your promise, Yu. I hope this isn't too overwhelming of a commitment for you. Making you dive headfirst into literature when you're not accustomed to it.
Oh, come on! Like he deserves any slack. You already had to be dragged here by Monika. I don't know if you plan to just come here and hang out or walk. But if you don't take us seriously, then you won't see the end of it.
Natsuki, have a big mouth for someone who keeps her manga in the club room.
Oh!
Natsuki finds himself stuck between, say, Monika and manga.
Manga is literature!
Swiftly defeated, Natsuki plops back into her seat.
I'm sorry, Yu. We'll make sure to put your comfort first, okay?
Yuri shoots Natsuki with a disappointed glance.
Anyway. Now that you're in the club and all, perhaps you might have interest in picking up a book to read?
Well, I can't really say no either way. Like I said, I'm in the club now. It only feels right for me to do something like that, if you ask.
Wait. I didn't mean it like that. If you don't really want to, then forget I said anything, I guess.
No, it's not that, Yuri. I just want to try to be part of this club. So if you don't read often, I'll be happy to pick up a book if you wanted me to.
Are you sure? I just felt like... Well, as vice president and all, that I should help you get started on something you might like.
Yuri reaches through her bag and pulls out a book.
I didn't want you to feel left out. So I picked out a book I thought you might enjoy. It's a short read, so it should keep your attention, even if you don't usually read. And we could you know, discuss it if you wanted.
This is... How's this girl accidentally being so cute? She even picked out a book she thinks I like, despite me not reading much. Yuri, thank you. I'll definitely read this. Enthusiastically take the book.
Phew. Well, you can read it at your own pace. I look forward to hearing what you think.
Now that everyone's settled in, I expect Monika to kick off some scheduled activities for the club. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Yuri's face is already buried in a book. I can't help but notice her intense expression, like she was waiting for this chance. Meanwhile, Natsuki is rummaging around the closet. I'm really curious to talk to Yuri a little bit more. But at the same time, I feel bad for distracting her from reading. I catch a glimpse of the cover of her book. It looks like the same book that she lent to me. More than that, she seems to be on the first few pages. Crap. I think she noticed me looking at her. She sneaks out a glance at me and our eyes meet for a split second. But that only makes her hide her face deeper in her book. Sorry. I was just spacing out. I muttered this, sensing I made her uncomfortable.
Oh. It's fine. If I was focused, then I probably wouldn't have noticed in the first place. But I'm just rereading a bit of this, so...
That's the book that you gave me, right?
Mm-hmm. I wanted to reread some of it. What is happening to my eye? Not for any particular reason.
Just curious, how come you have two copies of the same book?
Well, when I stopped at the bookstore yesterday... that's not what I meant. I mean... I just happened to buy two of them.
I see. There's something fairly obvious here that Yuri isn't telling me, but I thought I'd let it go. I'll definitely start reading it soon.
I'm glad to hear. Once it starts to pick up, you might have a hard time putting it down. It's a very engaging and relatable story.
Is that so? What's the story about anyway?
Well...
I look at the cover of the book. The book is titled Portrait of Markov. That's an ominous looking eye symbol on the front cover.
Basically, it's about this religious camp that was turned into a human experiment prison. And the people trapped there have this trait that turns them into killing machines that lust for blood. But the facility gets even worse. And then they start selectively breeding people by cutting off their limbs and affixing them to... Oh, that might be a little bit of a spoiler. But anyway, I'm really into it. The book, I mean. Not, the thing about the limbs.
That's kind of dark, isn't it? You're making it sound like it was going to be a nice story, so that dark turn came out from nowhere.
Are you not a fan of that sort of thing, you?
No, it's not that. I mean, I can definitely enjoy those kind of stories, so don't worry.
I hope so.
Yeah, until I forgot that Yuri's into those things. She's so shy and reclusive on the outside, but her mind seems to be completely different.
It's just that this kind of story... It's the kind that challenges you to look at life from a strange new perspective. When horrible things happen, not just because someone wants to be evil, but because the world is full of horrible people and we're all worthless anyway. I'm rambling, aren't I? Not again. I'm sorry.
Hey, don't apologize. I haven't lost interest or anything.
Well, I guess it's alright then. But I feel like I should let you know that I have this problem. When I let things like books and writing fill my thoughts, my whole body gets incredible. I kind of forget to pay attention to other people. So I'm sorry if I end up saying something strange. And please stop me if I start talking too much.
I really don't think you need to worry. It just means you're passionate about reading. The least you can do is listen. It's a literature club, after all.
That's true.
In fact, I might as well get started reading it, right?
Yes. I mean, you don't have to, but...
What are you saying?
Mm.
Let me just get the book. I quickly retrieve the book that I just put in my bag. Alright, it's fine if I sit here, right? I'll step into the seat next to Yuri's.
Yeah.
Are you sure? You seem a little apprehensive.
I'm sorry. It's not that I don't want you to. It's just something I'm not very used to. That is, reading in company with someone.
I see. Well, just tell me if I end up distracting you or anything.
Alright.
Open the book and start the prologue. I soon understand what Yuri means about reading in company. It's as if I can feel her presence over my shoulder as I read. It's not a particularly bad thing. Maybe a little distracting, but a feeling somewhat comforting. Yuri's in the corner of my eye. I realize that she's not actually looking at her own book. I glance over. It looks like she's reading from my book instead.
Sorry. I was just bathing in the feeling.
Yuri, you're really apologizing a lot, don't you?
I do? I don't really need to. Sorry. I mean...
Here, this should work, right? I slam my desk until it's up against Yuri's and hold my book more between the two of them.
I suppose so.
Yuri timidly closes our own copy. As we each lean a little bit, our shoulders are almost touching. It feels like my left arm's in the way, so instead I use my right hand to hold the book open. I guess that makes it kind of difficult to turn the page.
Here.
Yuri takes her left arm and holds the left side of the book between her thumb and forefinger. I do the same thing with my right arm, on the right side of the book. That way, I turn the page and Yuri slides it under her thumb as it flips to her side. But in holding it like this, we're huddled even closer together than before. It's actually kind of distracting me. It's like I can feel the warmth of Yuri's face and she's in a corner of my vision.
Are you ready?
Huh?
To turn the page.
Sorry. I think I got a bit distracted for a second. I glanced over at Yuri's face again and our eyes meet. I don't know how I'll be able to keep up with her.
That's okay. You're not as used to reading, right? I don't mind being patient if it takes you a bit longer. It's probably the least I can do. Since you've been so patient with me.
Yeah. Thanks. We continue reading. Yuri no longer asks me if I'm ready to turn the page. Instead, I just assumed that she finished the page before me, so I turned it by my own volition. We continue the first chapter in silence. Even so, turning each page almost feels like an intimate exchange. My thumb gently letting go of the page, and it flutters over to her side as she catches it under her own thumb. Hey, Yuri. This might be a silly thought, but the main character kind of reminds me of you a little bit.
I don't relate to this character at all. Definitely not.
Really? I was just thinking the way she second guesses the way things she said and all that.
Ah. That's what you were talking about. Sorry. I thought you meant something else about her.
Something else?
Never mind. We didn't even get that far yet. So I don't know why that came into my head.
Yuri, are you feeling alright?
Yeah?
Yuri's been a little fidgety ever since we started reading. You can rest if you're feeling sick or something. Your breathing is a little...
My breathing?
Yuri puts her hand on her chest as if to feel her heartbeat.
I didn't even notice. Anyway, I'm fine. I just need some water.
Alright, don't push yourself. Yuri stands up, practically rushes out of the classroom. What on earth was that about?
You? Did something happen just now?
Huh? I have no idea. Yuri's acting a little strange, I guess.
So you don't know anything?
Sorry, can't say I do. Are you worried about her?
Oh, no, not really. I was just making sure that you didn't do anything to her.
No, nothing.
Don't worry, I believe you, silly. Yuri just does this sometimes, so it's nothing alarming.
Alright, if you say so.
Anyway, why don't we start with sharing our poems with each other?
Eh? Shouldn't we wait for Yuri?
Well, she might be a while, so I just figured we'd get started without her. Is that okay?
Yeah, I was just asking. I stand up. Make a mental note where I left off in the book, then slip it back in my bag. I told Natsuki I was interested in her poems yesterday. It's probably only fair if I shared mine with her first.
You! If you're not going to take this club seriously, then go home.
What? Harsh.
What? You expect me to believe that you actually put effort into this? Do you think I'm stupid?
I'm not a writer. Maybe it's not very good, but yeah, I did put an effort. We all start somewhere, right? If I'm still proud of the first poem you ever wrote, then I like to read it. Painful to think about.
Fine. Well, sorry. You got better anyway. I had to tell what to improve, but you're better off just trying again.
Fair enough. Well, teach their own, I guess.
Anyway, I guess I gotta share mine now. Knowing you probably think I'm stupid.
Eagles can fly, monkeys can climb, crickets can leap, horses can race, owls can seek, cheetahs can run, eagles can fly, people can try, but that's about it.
Yeah. I told you that you weren't gonna like it.
I like it.
What? Be honest.
I am. Why are you so convinced that I wouldn't like it?
Well, because everyone in high school thinks that writing has to be all sophisticated and stuff. So people don't even take my writing seriously.
But is it a point of poems for people to express themselves? Your writing style would make your message any less valid.
Yes, exactly. I like when it's easy to read, but it hits you hard. Like in this poem. Seeing everyone around you do great things can be really disheartening. So I decided to write about it.
Yeah, I understand.
But the other nice thing about simple writing is that it puts no weight on the wordplay. Like, I set up for a rhyme at the end, but then made it fall flat on purpose. It helps bring out the feeling in the last line.
So you did. I guess more went into it than I realized.
That's what it means to be a pro. I'm glad you learned something. Didn't expect that from the youngest one here, did you?
Yeah, guess not. I decided to humor her with that last comment. I don't really care how old everyone is, but if Natsuki is feeling proud, then I won't take that away from her.
Hi, you. Having a good time so far?
Ah, yeah.
Good. Glad to hear it. By the way, since you're new and everything, if you ever have any suggestions for the club, like new activities or things we can do better, I'm always listening. Don't be afraid to bring things up, okay?
Alright, I'll keep that in mind. Of course, to be afraid to bring things up. I'm much better off just going with the flow until I'm more settled in.
Anyway, want to share your poem with me?
It's kind of embarrassing, but I guess I have to.
Don't worry, you. We're all a little embarrassed today, you know? But it's that sort of barrier that we'll all learn to get past soon.
Yeah, that's true. I handed Monika my poem.
Great job, you. I was going ooh in my head while reading it. It's really metaphorical. I'm not sure why, but I didn't expect you to go for something so deep. I guess I underestimated you.
It's easiest for me to keep everyone's expectations low. That way, it always counts when it puts in some effort.
That's not very fair. Well, I guess it worked anyway. You know that Yuri likes this kind of writing, right? Writing that's full of imagery and symbolism. Sometimes I feel like Yuri's mind is just totally detached from reality. I don't mean that like it's a bad thing, though. But sometimes I get the impression that she's just totally given up on people. She spends so much time in her own head that it's probably a much more interesting place for her. But that's why she gets so happy when you treat her with a lot of kindness. I don't think she's used to being indulged like that. You must be really starved for social interaction, so don't blame her for coming on a little strongly. Like earlier. I think if she gets too stimulated, she ends up withdrawing and looking for alone time.
Suddenly the door opens.
Yuri!
I'm back. Did I miss anything?
Not really. Well, we all started sharing our poems with each other.
Already? I'm sorry for being late.
No need to apologize. We still have plenty of time, so I'm more glad that you took all the time you needed.
Alright. Thanks, Monika. I suppose I should go get my poem now.
Anyway, do you want to read my poem now? Don't worry, I'm not very good.
You sound pretty confident for someone who claims to not be very good.
Well, that's because I have to sound confident. That doesn't mean I always feel that way, you know?
I see. Well, let's read it then. Hole in wall. but he wasn't looking at me. Confused, I frantically glanced around at my surroundings, but my buried eyes can no longer see color. The others in this room? Are they talking? Or are they simply poems on flat sheets of paper? The sound of frantic scrawling, playing tricks on my ears. The room begins to crinkle, closing in on me. The air I breathe dissipates before it reaches my lungs. I panic. There must be a way out. It's right there. He's right there. Swallowing my fears, I brandish my pen.
So, what do you think?
It's very freeform, if that's what you call it. So I'm not really the right person to have for feedback.
It's okay. Yeah, that kind of style has gotten pretty popular nowadays. That is, a lot of poems have been putting emphasis on the timing between words and lines. When performed out loud, it can be really powerful.
What was the inspiration behind this one?
Well, I'm not sure if I know how to put it. I guess you could say that I had some kind of epiphany recently. It's been influencing my poems a bit.
An epiphany?
Yeah, something like that. I'm kind of nervous to talk about deep stuff like that, because it's kind of coming on strongly. Maybe after everyone is better friends with each other. Anyway, here's Monika's writing tip of the day. Sometimes when you're writing a poem or a story, your brain gets too fixated on a specific point. If you try so hard to make it perfect, then you'll never make any progress. Just force yourself to get something down on the paper and tidy it up later. Another way to think about it is this. If you keep your pen in the same spot for too long, you'll just get a big dark puddle of ink. So just move your hand and go with the flow. That's my advice for today. Thanks for listening.
As Yuri reads the poem, I notice her eyes lighten.
Exceptional.
Eh? What was that?
Did I say that out loud?
Yuri first covers her mouth, but then ends up covering her whole face.
Going to hate me?
You really didn't do anything wrong, Yuri.
That's... I guess you're right. What am I getting so nervous for?
Yuri takes a breath.
So, what kind of writing experience do you have? Your use of imagery and metaphors indicates you've written a lot of poetry before.
Really? Wow, that's a huge compliment coming from you. This is actually my first time, really.
Huh?
Yuri stares at me blankly, then looks at my poem again.
Well, I know that. I meant,
Yuri trails off, unable to find an excuse. She traces her finger along the words in her poem as if bringing it down more thoroughly.
Yeah. Okay. This is the reason I was able to tell. It's just that there are specific writing habits that are usually typical of new writers. And having been through that myself, I kind of learned to pick up on them. I think the most noticeable thing I recognize in new writers is that they try to make the style very deliberate. In other words, they tend to pick a writing style separate from the topic matter, and they form-fit the two together. The end result is that both the style and the expressiveness are weakened.
Once Yuri finds her train of thought, it's as if her demeanor totally changes. Her stammering is completely gone, and she sounds like an expert.
Of course, that's not something you can be blamed for. There are so many different skills and techniques that go into writing even a simple poem. Not just finding them and building them, but getting them to work together is probably the most challenging part. It might take you some time, but it all comes with practice and learning by example and trying new things. I also hope that everyone else in the club gives you valuable feedback. Natsuki can be a little bit biased, though.
Biased? How?
Well, never mind. I shouldn't be talking about people like that. Sorry.
It's fine. I'm not sure if Yuri is apologizing to herself, to me, or to Natsuki. Do you mind read your poem now?
Please do.
I'd love to share my thoughts process behind it. Yuri smiles dreamily as if there's a rare opportunity for her, which itself is kind of funny. After all, isn't it supposed to be a literature club? Ghosts under the light, the tendrils of my hair illuminate beneath the amber glow. Bathing. It must be this one, the last remaining streetlight to have withstood the test of time, the last yet to be replaced by the sickening blue-green hue of the future. I bathe calm, breathing air of the present, but living in the past. The light flickers, I flicker back.
I'm sorry I have such terrible handwriting.
What? I wasn't thinking that at all.
But it took you a long time to read.
Well, I just don't read script very often. I actually think your handwriting's pretty.
That's a relief.
Also, I liked the poem. Even though it was short, it was really descriptive.
It wasn't too short. I usually write longer poems.
Not at all.
I'm really glad you like it. I'll be honest. Since it's our first time sharing, I wanted to write something a little more mild. Something easy to digest, I suppose.
Are into ghosts, Yuri?
Uh-huh. Actually, the story isn't about a ghost at all, you.
Really? I must have totally missed the point.
Well, I suppose you did only glance over it after all. But remember, the poets often express their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences in their work. They usually do more than tell a simple story or paint a picture. In this case, perhaps the subject of the poem is only being symbolically compared to a ghost. Lingering in her last remaining place of comfort, unable to let go of the past. And soon to be left with nothing.
That's a lot more solemn, putting it that way. I didn't even thought of that. That's impressive.
Eh? It's nothing really. Yours was impressive too, so...
Nah. If anything, I could probably learn a thing or two from you.
You think so?
Yeah, of course.
You know, I was really nervous about doing all of this. But in the end, I enjoyed it. I'm going to keep doing my best for you. You.
Me too. Phew. I guess that's everyone. I glance around the room. That's a little more stressful than I anticipated. It's as if everyone's judging me for my mediocre writing abilities. Even just being nice, there's no way my poems can stand up to theirs. This is a literature club after all. I sigh. I guess that's when I end up getting myself into. Across the room, Monika's writing something in her notebook. My eyes land on Yuri and Natsuki. They gingerly exchange sheets of paper, sharing their respective poems. As they read in tantrum, I watch each of them expressions change. Natsuki's eyebrows furrow in frustration. Meanwhile, Yuri smiles sadly.
language.
Eh? Did you say something?
Oh, it's nothing.
He dismissively returns the poem to the desk with one hand.
I guess you could say it's fancy.
Thanks. Yours is cute.
Cute? Did you completely miss the symbolism or something? It's clearly about the feeling of giving up. How can that be cute?
I know that. I just meant the language, I guess. I was trying to say something nice.
Eh? You mean that you had to try hard to come up with something nice to say? Thanks, but it really didn't come out nice at all.
Well, I do have a couple suggestions.
If I was looking for suggestions, I would have asked someone who actually liked it. Which people did, by the way. Monika liked it. And you did too. So, based on that, I'll gladly give you some suggestions of my own. First of all...
Excuse me. I appreciate the offer, but I've spent a long time establishing my writing style. I don't expect it to change anytime soon. Unless, of course, I come across something particularly inspiring. Which I haven't yet.
Oh.
And you liked my poem too, you know. He even told me he was impressed by it.
Natsuki suddenly stands up.
Oh? I didn't realize you were so invested in trying to impress your new member, Yuri.
Eh? That's not what I... You're just...
Yuri stands up as well.
Maybe you're just jealous that you appreciates my advice more than he appreciated yours.
Oh? And how do you know he didn't appreciate my advice more? Are you that full of yourself?
No. If I was full of myself, I would deliberately go out of my way to make everything I do overly cutesy.
Well, you know what? I wasn't the only one whose boobs magically grew a size bigger as soon as you started showing up.
Natsuki!
Natsuki, that's a little...
This doesn't involve you!
This doesn't involve you!
Taking out your own insecurities on others like that. You really act as young as you look, Natsuki.
Me? Whose Doki you wanna be, edgy bitch?
Edgy? Sorry that my lifestyle is too much for someone of your mental age to comprehend.
See? This thing that proves my point. Most people learn to get over themselves after they graduate middle school, you know.
If you want to prove anything, then stop harassing others with your sickening attitude. You think you can counterbalance your toxic personality just by dressing and acting cute? The only cute thing about you is how hard you try.
Huh, be careful or you might cut yourself with that edge, Yuri. Oh, my bad. You already do, don't you?
Did you just accuse me of cutting myself? What the fuck is wrong with your head?
Yeah, go on. Let you hear everything you really think. I'm sure he'll be head over the heels for you after this.
Suddenly, Yuri turned towards me as if she just noticed I was standing here.
She's just trying to make me look bad.
That's not true. He started.
Jesus Christ.
Go on.
Hey, you. Why don't we step outside for a little bit? Okay? Sorry about that. They really shouldn't have tried to get you involved. It's probably better for us to stay out of this. We'll go back inside once they're done yelling. Some president I am, right? I can't even confront my own club members properly. I just wish I was able to be a little more assertive sometimes. But I never have it in me to put my foot down against others. You understand, right? Anyway, if this makes you want to spend less time with the others, then that's fine. I'd be happy to spend time with you instead.
Suddenly, Natsuki runs out of the classroom. She quickly runs away.
Oh dear. Well, looks like they're done.
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it.
Yuri's walking back and forth on her desk with the palms on her forehead. Yuri?
I didn't mean it.
I believe you. I have no idea what Yuri might have said to Natsuki. Or did.
You. Please don't hate me. Please. I'm not like this. There's something wrong with me today.
Fine, Yuri. We know you didn't mean it. Besides, I'm sure Natsuki will forget all about it by tomorrow. Completely. Anyway, the meeting's over, so you can go home now if you want.
Yuri looks at me like she wants to say something, but she keeps glancing at Monika.
You can go first, Monika. I'd like to stay a little bit longer.
I'm the president, so I should be the last one out. I'll wait for you to be done.
Well, I'm vice president, so please let me take that responsibility today.
It kind of sounds like you don't want me around for something, Yuri.
It's not that. It's not that. I didn't get much of a chance to discuss my book with you. It would just be embarrassing with you listening.
I guess I don't really have a choice, do I?
I'm sorry for causing trouble. But I really appreciate your error.
Another day passes and it's time for the club meetings already. Got a little bit more comfortable here over the past couple days. Entering the club room, Yuzo and greets me.
Welcome back, you.
Ah, hi Yuri. I'm not sure if it's just me or if it's Yuri's expression, but the way yesterday's quarrel still hangs in the air a little. Yuri glanced over her shoulder, looking around the room. Natsuki is reading a manga at her desk. Surprisingly, Monika isn't here yet. Suddenly, Yuri takes my arm and pulls me to the corner of the room.
About yesterday, I really need to apologize. Nothing like that has ever happened before. And something just came over me, I guess. I wasn't acting mentally sound. Please don't think we're usually like this. Not just me, but Natsuki as well.
Yuri, I'm happy that you were considerate and apologize. You don't have to worry too much. You know, I've been here a couple days. I could tell something was off yesterday. Maybe we're just a little bit extra sensitive because of our first time sharing poems. But whatever it was, it didn't make me think any less of you. I'd already decided there's no way I can be a bad person. And now that you're apologizing, I know that you really didn't mean it.
You? Don't say those kinds of things so frankly. They make me a little too happy. I'm really glad that you're such an understanding person. And I'm really glad that you joined this club. Everything is a little bit brighter with you around and... Sorry, what am I saying right now?
Hey, you guys seen Monika?
No, I haven't. I was also kind of wondering where she was.
And Yuri, I'm guessing you have an ear?
Yuri's clearly taken aback by how calmly Natsuki is addressing her.
No, I haven't.
This isn't like her at all. I know it's stupid, but I can't help but worry a little bit. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
Natsuki, about yesterday, I just wanted to apologize. I promise I didn't mean any of the things I've said. And I'll do my best to stay under control from now on. So...
Yuri, what the heck are you talking about? You did something yesterday?
Huh?
Jeez. Whatever's on your mind, I'm sure it was nothing. I don't even remember anything bad happening. You're the kind of person who worries too much about the little things, aren't you?
But
I'll accept your apology anyway, if it helps you feel better about it. Besides, it's kinda nice to hear, since I was always afraid you secretly hated me or something like that.
no, not at all. I don't hate you.
Well, you're kind of weird, but I don't hate you either.
Natsuki turns to me.
You're still on trial, though.
Hey! Suddenly the door swings open.
Sorry, I'm super sorry.
Ah, there you are.
I didn't mean to be late. I hope you guys weren't worried or anything.
Nah. Well, Natsuki was.
I was not. What took you so long anyway?
Well, my last period today was study hall. To be honest, I kind of just lost track of time.
That makes no sense, though. You have heard about Ranger List.
I must not have heard it since I was practicing piano.
Piano? I wasn't aware you played music as well, Monika.
Don't give me more credit than I deserve. I guess I've been practicing for a while, but I'm still not really good yet.
Still, that must require a lot of dedication. So I'm still impressed.
Well, thanks, Yuri.
You should play something for us sometime.
That's...
Monika looks at me.
Well, I am working on writing a song, but it's not quite done yet. Maybe once I get a little bit better, I will.
That's so cool. I look forward to it.
Is that so? In that case, I won't let you down, you.
Monika smiles sweetly. Ah. I didn't mean any pressure or anything like that.
Don't worry. I was hoping that I could share it with you anyway. I guess that's why I've been practicing so much recently.
I see. I'm sure if Monika was referring to the whole club or just me. In that case, best of luck.
Thanks. So, I didn't miss anything, did I?
No, not really. I choose not to bring up anything that the three of us talked about. Besides, Natsuki has already run off into the closet.
You... Since your compliments put me in a good mood, I was wondering if you would like to spend some time together today. I mean, in the club.
Yeah, definitely. I plan on it anyway.
Okay. Can we start now? Let's find a place to sit. I'm being a little forceful, aren't I? I'm sorry. My heart just won't stop pounding for some reason.
Don't worry about it. If anything, it's nice to see you have so much energy.
Yeah. But I need to try to calm down. I will be able to focus on reading like this.
Take your time. Yuri takes a deep breath and pulls a copy of the book out of her bag. Actually, I have a... Oh,
Actually, I have a request. Do you mind if I make some tea first?
not at all.
Thanks very much. If there's one thing that can make my reading time here any better, it's a nice cup of tea. Not to mention for yourself as well.
Yuri stands up and makes her way to the closet. I follow watch as she retrieves a small water pitcher from the shelf, the kind with a filter inside.
Can you hold this for a second?
Sure. Yuri hands me the water pitcher and also fetches an electric kettle.
I'm going to plug this in at the teacher's desk, and then I'll go get some water.
She walks past me and sets the kettle down at the teacher's desk. I suddenly watch her movements. To my surprise, the way she moves really contrasts her speaking mannerisms. Especially because of her long legs, Yuri appears elegant and methodical.
Okay, may I have the water pitcher? Thanks. I'll be right back.
Might as well walk with you.
That's okay. You stay here. It won't take long.
Pitcher in hand, Yuri hurries out of the classroom.
Ah. Did Yuri leave you again?
No, it's not like that this time. She's just filling up the water pitcher to make tea.
Oh, okay. Sorry for misunderstanding.
10 minutes pass. Yuri said it wouldn't take long. Is something holding her up? I'm bored just waiting here, so I decided to go look for her. Let's see. The most logical place for Yuri to be would be the nearest water fountain. I saw her heading down the hallway. What's that noise? It's coming from around the corner. Sounds like breathing. A sharp inhale, like someone is sucking the air through their teeth. Are they in pain? I reach the corner and peer around it. Yuri?
Yeah! I'm back. Thanks for waiting patiently. Do you like oolong tea?
Yeah. Anything is fine.
Very well.
Yuri sets the temperature on the kettle to 200 degrees.
Now it's time to get the teapot.
You really do this properly, don't you?
Of course. I shouldn't do any less when I'm making tea for others.
Even not an expert in tea or anything?
In that case, you'll only be even more impressed.
Perhaps I will. Yuri fetches a teapot and begins measuring the tea leaves. To my surprise, she even starts humming a little to herself. Must be in good mood now.
Is that so? I was letting it show. And you noticed. I was doing a bit of thinking. And I decided that I would try expressing myself a little bit more. It turns out it's not very hard for me to do. When it's you who's around, anyway.
That's great, Yuri. Just don't push yourself too much.
You're always worrying about me, you. It's very endearing.
Yuri wasn't kidding. I don't even know if I can keep up with this. I watched Yuri pour a cup of tea for each of us.
I have another request. Do you mind if we sit on the floor today?
What's that?
It's a little bit easier on my back. I can read with my back against the wall rather than bending over at my desk.
Sorry, I didn't realize.
No worries. I just have back pain fairly regularly, so I do my best to manage it.
Is that so? I wonder why that is.
It's most likely because
Your posture, right? Always hunch over like that while reading?
Yes. I have terrible reading posture. So that's why we should sit on the floor.
Fair enough. I'll go ahead and grab the book. Retrieve the book from my bag. Has some chocolate as well. It's a bag of small chocolate candies. I take it since they go well with the tea. Yuri and I then sit against the wall, teacups at our sides. As if in sync, we assume the same reading position as last time, each holding one half of the book. Except this time, our bodies are even closer to each other.
I can't see too well.
Yuri slides closer into our shoulders, touching. How am I supposed to focus on reading like this? Yuri's always kind of cute, but when she's being less apprehensive, it's almost more than I can handle.
Your teacup?
Yuri hands me my teacup. Holding my hand that's not holding the book, and I'm in a position that makes it even harder to focus. Because now I need to worry about making sure I don't accidentally touch her chest. Meanwhile, Yuri hadn't noticed a single thing. She wears an intense reading expression. I can only presume the world around her has faded away. I used all my willpower to focus on reading. After a few minutes, I finally managed to relax a little. I put the teacup between my legs and fumbled with a chocolate wrapper. Sorry. I let go of the book to finish opening the wrapper. You can have much as you want.
That's okay. I won't take any.
Yeah? Are you sure?
Well, if I touch it, then I might get smudge on the pages.
You're right. I didn't even think about that. My bad.
No need to apologize. I'll hold the book, okay?
Are you sure?
Of course.
Yuri opens the book with both hands. She holds it so that I don't have any harder of a time reading it from it. And as a result, her left arm is practically resting on top of my leg. Well, in that case, Yuri is already totally focused on reading again. I take a chocolate candy and pop it into my mouth. Then take another chocolate. I hold it up to Yuri. He doesn't even look away from the book. She slowly parts her lips as if the situation was completely natural. But that means I can't stop here. I apprehensively place the chocolate in her mouth. Just like that, Yuri closes her lips over it.
Yeah?
Yuri's expression suddenly breaks.
Did I just...
Yuri looks at me like she needs to confirm what just happened.
You?
Sorry. I guess I shouldn't have done that. Yuri starts to breathe heavily.
I can't. You...
Suddenly, Yuri forcefully grabs my arm and jerks me to my feet. My teacup gets knocked over.
You... My heart won't stop pounding. You... I can't calm down. I can't focus on anything anymore. Can you feel it, you?
Yuri suddenly presses my hand against her chest.
Why is this happening to me? I feel like I'm losing my mind. I can't make it stop. It even makes me not want to read. I just want to look at you.
It's time to share poems.
Well, I can admit that it's better than the last one. It's nice to see that you're putting in some effort.
That's good.
Just make sure that you find a little bit of influence from everyone. think you're at least being influenced by Yuri a little bit, aren't you? I mean, I know you've been, like, spending some time with her or whatever. You know, Monika and I are just as good as her. Poems, I mean. So, you should really try to learn something, or you'll never get better. Here's the one I wrote. I'll make sure you learn something from it.
Amy likes spiders. You know what I heard about Amy? Amy likes spiders. Iggly, wiggly, hairy, ugly spiders. That's why I'm not friends with her. Amy has a cute singing voice. I heard her singing my favorite love song. Every time she sang the chorus, my heart would pound to the rhythm of the words. But she likes spiders. That's why I'm not friends with her. One time, I hurt my leg really bad. Amy helped me up and took me to the nurse. I tried not to let her touch me. She likes spiders, so her hands are probably gross. That's why I'm not friends with her. Amy has a lot of friends. I always see her talking to people, so she probably talks about spiders. What if her friends start to like spiders too? That's why I'm not friends with her. It doesn't matter if she has other hobbies. It doesn't matter if she keeps it private. It doesn't matter if it doesn't hurt anyone. It's gross, she's gross. The world's better off without spider lovers. I'm gonna tell everyone.
Not bad, right?
It's quite a bit longer than yesterday's.
Yesterday was way too short. I was just warming up. I hope you didn't think that was the best I could do.
No, of course not.
Anyway, the message is pretty straightforward in this poem. I don't have to explain it. Like, anyone would agree that the subject of this poem is an ignorant jerk. Everyone has some kind of weird hobby or a guilty pleasure. Don't think that you're afraid if people find out, they do make fun of you or think less of you. But that just makes people stupid. Who cares what someone likes as long as they're not hurting anyone and it makes them happy? I think people really need to respect others for liking weird things. Like just two of the girls in this very club who I respectfully won't name. Kind of ironic that even in my one place of comfort, I could even have people respect me. Jeez, now you're making me complain too much.
What'd I do? For what it's worth, I respect you.
Well, I guess thanks. But it's kind of obvious that you respect Yuri more, so... Whatever, we're done sharing. You can leave now.
I've been waiting for this. Let's see what you've written for today.
Yuri smiles and takes a deep breath.
I like just holding it. I mean, the poem turned out good. It's, well, there are some things that you could work on. But that doesn't really matter. It feels like anything written by you is a treasure. That came out a little awkward. Let's move on. Here's the poem I wrote. You don't have to like it or anything.
Wheel. A rotating wheel turning an axle, grinding. Boat head. Linear gearbox. Falling sky. 7 holy stakes. A docked ship. A portal to another world. A thin rope tied to a thick rope. A torn harness. Parabolic gearbox. Expanding universe. Time controlled by slipping cogwheels. Existence of God, swimming with open water in all directions, drowning. A prayer written in blood. A prayer written in time, devouring snakes with human eyes. A thread connecting all living human eyes. A kaleidoscope of holy stakes. Exponential gearbox. A sky of exploding stars. God disapproving existence of God. A wheel rotating 6 dimensions. 40 gears and a ticking clock. A clock that ticks 1 second for every rotation of the planet. A clock that ticks 40 times every time it ticks every second time. A bolt head of holy stakes tied to the existence of a docked ship to another world. A kaleidoscope of blood written in clocks. A time-devouring prayer connecting the sky. 40 gears and open human eyes in all directions. Breathing gearbox. Breathing bolt head. Breathing ship. Breathing portal, breathing snakes, breathing God, breathing blood, breathing holy stakes, breathing human eyes, breathing time, breathing prayer, breathing sky, breathing wheel.
Doesn't really matter what it's about. My mind has been a little hyperactive lately, so I had to take it out on your pen. That is, a pen fell out of your backpack yesterday, so I took it home for safekeeping, and I just really like the way that it writes. So I wrote this poem with it. And now you're touching it. I'm okay. What did I just... Can we pretend this conversation never happened? You can keep the poem, though.
I think you saw something earlier that you weren't supposed to see. I didn't want to have to tell you this, but I don't think I have a choice. It's getting kind of dangerous for you to spend so much time with Yuri. I don't know why, but she seems pretty easily excitable when she's around you. Which shouldn't be a problem in itself. But when Yuri gets too excited, she finds a place to hide and starts cutting herself with a pocket knife. Isn't that kind of messed up? She even brings a different one to school every day, like she has a collection or something. I mean, it's definitely not because she's depressed or anything like that. I think she just gets some kind of high from it. It might even be like a sexual thing. But the point is, you've kind of been enabling her. I'm not saying it's your fault though. But I guess that's why I had to explain it all to you. Though I think if you keep your distance, that would probably be best for her. While you're at it, don't be shy to spend a little more time with me. To put it lightly, I at least have it together in the head, and I know how to treat my club members. But anyway, you want to read my poem now? I like the way this one turned out, so I hope you do too.
Save me. The colors they want bright, beautiful colors. Flashing, expanding, piercing, red, green, blue, and endless cacophony of meaningless noise. Noise, it won't stop. Violent, grating. Sine, cosine, tangent, and playing a chalkboard on a turn-up table, like a playing a knife in a breathing rib cage. Endless something something.
Sorry, I know it's kind of abstract. I'm just trying to, well, never mind. There's no point in explaining. Anyway, here's Monika's writing tip of the day. Sometimes you'll find yourself facing a difficult decision. When that happens, don't forget to save your game. You never know when, who am I talking to? Can you hear me? Tell me you can hear me. Anything. That's my advice for today. Thanks for listening. Okay, everyone. We're all done reading each other's poems, right? We have something we need to go over today, so if everyone could come sit at the front of the room.
Is this about a festival?
Well, sort of.
Do you really have to do something for the festival? It's not like we can put stuff together anything good in just a few days. We just end up embarrassing ourselves instead of getting any new members.
I don't really do well with last-minute preparations.
Don't worry so much. We're going to keep it simple, okay? Look. I know everyone's been a little more lively ever since you joined, and we've started with some club activities. But this isn't the time for us to become complacent. We still only have 4 members. And the festival is our only real chance to find more, you know?
What's so great about getting new members anyway? You already have enough to be considered an official club. More members would just mean everything gets noisier and more difficult to manage.
Natsuki, I don't think you're looking at it the right way at all. Don't you want to share your passion with as many people as you can? To inspire them to find the same feelings that brought you here in the first place? The literature club should be a place where people can express themselves like they can't do anywhere else. It should be a place to intimate that you never want to leave. So intimate that you never want to leave. I know you feel that way too. I know we all do. So that's why we should work hard and put something together for the festival, even if it's something small. Right, you?
Ah,
Oh, come on! You can take advantage of you to agree with you just because he doesn't know how to say no to anything. Look, Monika. Do you really think any of us here joined the club with other people in mind? Yuri never even talked until you joined it. As for me, I just like it better here than I do at home. And you isn't even passionate about literature in the first place. And that's everyone. Sorry, but you're really the only one who's so interested in finding new members. The rest of us are fine like this. I know you're president and all, but you should really consider our opinions for once.
Monika was clearly taken back by Natsuki's words.
That's not true at all. I'm sure Yuri and you want to get more members too. Right?
I don't know about Yuri, but I'm kind of indifferent. If I showed as much enthusiasm Monika wanted, then I'd probably be lying. Still, if it's up to me to rescue this situation,
No. Natsuki's right, isn't she? This club, nothing more than a place for a few people to hang out. Why did I think that everyone here saw it the same way as I did?
but that doesn't mean we're getting new members or anything.
Why did you even join this club? What were you hoping to get out of it?
Well, that's not really something to be honest about, is it?
In fact, if I remember, you weren't even given a choice not to join.
Monika sits down and stares at her desk.
What's the point of all this anyway? What if starting this club was a mistake?
Now you've done it, Natsuki.
What? Me? I just spoke my mind. It's a crime to be honest?
It's not about being honest. It's about word choice. Besides, you have no right to speak for everyone else in the club like that.
You don't understand at all. Just want a place that feels nice to hang out with a few friends. Is there a problem with the club being that for me? There aren't any other place like that for me. And now Monika wants to take it away from me.
She's not taking anything away.
No, you! It's not the same. It won't be the same with the direction she wants to take it. If I wanted that, then I could have just joined at any other stupid club. But this one, I mean, at least for a little bit of time, things were nice.
Natsuki starts packing up her things.
I'm going home. I feel like I don't belong here right now.
Natsuki.
Natsuki ignores Yuri and walks right out of the classroom.
This is bad. I don't know what to do.
Well, do you have an opinion on the festival?
I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent, I guess. Who cares about the gotcha's brat? I mean, I like how nice and quiet the club is right now. And I'm just happy with you here. But still, I'm the vice president, and it's not right for me to ignore my responsibilities like that. Nobody would cry if she killed herself. I should do my best to consider everyone's perspective and make the decision that's right for the club. But what about you, you? What do you want to get out of this club?
Yuri repeats the same question as Monika. I decide giving indirect answers better than nothing. I think the most important thing is for everyone to get along. For the club to provide something that I can't get anywhere else. I don't think it's about how many members, but rather the quality of each member. That's why we end up making the literature club a special place.
I see. I really agree with you. Each member contributes their own qualities in a special way. With each change in members, the identity of the club as a whole will change too. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Stepping out of your comfort zone once in a while. So if you would like to help Monika with the festival, then I'm on your side as well.
Alright. Well, maybe we can all talk to Natsuki tomorrow. Yuri nods.
Hey, Yuri?
Huh?
I know things were a little awkward yesterday. But I feel like you deserve to know that I still think you're a wonderful vice president. And also a wonderful friend.
Monika?
I want to do everything I can to make this the best club ever. Okay?
Me too.
Yeah. Let's all go home for today. We'll talk about the festival tomorrow.
Okay. I look forward to it. Shall we go, you?
Please don't take this the wrong way, but I'm going to chat a little bit with you before we leave. Just to see what he thinks of his time here and all that. It's important to me, as president.
Yuri looks a little troubled, but she doesn't protest.
Okay. I trust your judgment, Monika. In that case, I'll see the two of you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Monika waves as Yuri exits the classroom.
Phew. Things have been a bit hectic lately, haven't they? I just wanted to make sure you're enjoying your time at this club. I would really hate to see you unhappy. I feel kind of like I'm responsible for that as president. And I really do care about you, you know? I don't like seeing the other girls give you a hard time. With how mean Natsuki is and everything. And Yuri being a little bit, you know. Sometimes it feels like you and I are the only real people here. You know what I mean? But it's weird, because in all the time you've been here, we've hardly gotten to spend any time together. I mean, I guess it's technically only been a couple days. Sorry, I didn't mean to say something weird. There are just some things I've been hoping to talk about with you. Things I know only you could understand. Well, that's why... Wait, not yet. No, stop it!
Oh,